Scott Trollin, who is considered artist animator for the team. Let's talk about some of your previous work before you came to CSE Entertainment. What were you up to before you joined us?
I graduated from Savannah College of Art and Design in 2002, and from then I went to work in nonprofit for internet safety. So through animation, we did media for internet, teach kids how to be safe online. We did public awareness and education that way. But I had experience working with other animators, and we cranked out a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. And a lot of people were receptive to all that media, so we had a big audience for that stuff.
Considering the background, and I believe you came in when March on Oz was being created, what are the challenges that you've had moving from your previous job to that?
It's totally different. Animating for games is actually working in tandem with programming. When it's animating just children's media, with a fixed camera, you get to make it look good at that angle. When it's in video game land, you have to make sure it looks good in every angle, or at least whatever parameters we set in place. Like March on Oz was pretty much a fixed camera, so that was really fun to do. High extremes in profile. So I got away with a lot of stuff as I was learning the video game process. But doing Camelot Unchained, I'm working with programmers to figure out locomotion and making sure that the character can move in every angle. I set stuff into 45-degree increments and rotations, and programming turns that into every possible, which way it can go. So
yes,
it's interesting. I always get to see my animations turn into something completely different once it gets into programming land. And it becomes something, it's a collaborative effort, and it becomes something, now the finished product is something that it's a teamwork result. It's not just me animating, it's how everything coincides together. It becomes a very intuitive and interactive beast of sorts.
Is it nice or strange having that surprise at the end when you've contributed something, but everyone's adding along the way, and then by the time, as you say, you complete, it's a completely different organism, and
Sure.
how does that surprise factor for you?
So there is always the first reveal, and you're like, that's not what I intended. But what's cool about City State is we're all a small team, and we get to work together and make sure that it's looking the best it can look. Or I understand the process better, and I say, all right, I can do this better now that we know what's happening on the back end. Mm-hmm. So it's a very collaborative process, and it's really fun. Yeah. I mean, I don't have experience in larger gaming companies, but I'm sure once it leaves the animator's desktop as an exported file, that's it, hands off, no comments from there on out. So I think I'm really lucky to be able to have that back and forth with programming.
You have a young family as well, I understand.
I do.
So what is that like, going from perhaps a job, I don't know if animation for children's safety is a very secure field and one that you can count on as far as a paycheck all the time, and it's going to be fairly consistent over time. I don't know. But what's the difference between that and I guess going to something like this as a startup where you're putting a lot of faith and in the community, in the game itself, in the team? What's the impetus for making that kind of decision?
Well, I knew it was going to be an adventure when Anna contacted me on LinkedIn, one random day, and asked if I wanted to become an animator for a startup at the time for mobile games. And that was, an interesting opportunity, and I had my wife and family support me on that, and we're making ends meet to give me this ability to, learn and be a part of something that could go either way, but we're having fun, and I have so much confidence in the talent and the caliber of drive and passion that everyone here at the studio has. So in that, there's security because everyone just knows what they're doing. It's really incredible to be a part of a team that is just so talented. I think I was saying that when we were doing March on Oz, but we've grown at least by a third since Kickstarter started. And every time somebody new comes in this office, it's like, wow, you're brilliant. You're cool. We should hang out. We should make a game.
You should. I think Mark is also extremely family oriented as far as employers and very supportive of that idea. Is very very open to, I guess, making sure that family is considered as a really important factor when you work here, which is an unusual thing, I think, for a studio, but probably also very nice when, your kids are young. Sometimes flex is important.
Yeah, Mark's a teddy bear of a guy. I'll say it on camera.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so...
Documented.
Yeah, he comes off as very, strong and, fast-paced, but when it comes to family, he'll give you all the time you need or whatever, you ask of him. He'll support you 100%. It's, we've done a lot of things and, stressed work, family balance, but Mark's always, compensated me in the sense that we can, make things work. Before I got hired, Mark took my wife and I out to dinner with Mark's wife, Janet, and we talked about all the things that come along with working for the game industry and how it is a strong force to be reckoned with when it comes to family and work. So, yeah, I was pre-warned.
What advantages or disadvantages are there from basically creating these animations from scratch, as we've spoken about, and you have this essentially a blank page?
That's been difficult, actually. I've been animating blind for a long time as programming and the engine was being developed. So, I would anticipate what we might need or at least want to see initially in prototyping. But right now, as this is being filmed, the editor is coming along, tools are coming along, so I'm able to see my animations blend. I'm working with Andrew, and he's kicking, the blending code, out first, just so I can see what's happening. And I've totally rerouted my thought process on creating locomotion for this game. It's different than I was expecting. So it's amazing how fast things change here, and you scratch other stuff, just to have on the wings, but maybe we'll revisit it later. But now I'm making all new animations that look cooler and are more reactive, and it's a really fun, growing, learning experience.
Is that the difference you're talking about?
A difference in
your
working from static camera. And
well, you'd say you've
story.
changed. You've kind of evolved your style in the last few weeks, or as information is.
Approach, yeah. Style is a whole thing of trying to figure out whether it's going to be natural or highly stylized animation that breaks physics and the human condition or ability.
Borderlands.
But yeah, I'm learning different approaches to make the character move in a predictable way.
Well, having said that, let's define it very simply. What is an animator?
What is an animator? Someone who breathes life into something that's inanimate, thus animating it to fake the illusion of life, bringing something that's not real to make it believably real.
And how do you, what's the process that you go through to be able to animate things with the team, and I guess the pipeline of how you end up with what you end up?
I've had a lot of creative freedom to establish that or explore that through the pipeline of creating a character in concept, and just illustrations, and just hearing what the team gets excited about and what that character might be, what that race is, what defines it. I try to think about that when I approach a character. Right now, it's honestly just rudimentary, traversing and velocities and things like that. But there will be a time when we go back to polish and add actual nuances that define the character, and that's what I'm really looking forward to.
We've spoken with other people in the other interviews that hopefully the community is seeing or will see shortly. The visual language in this game is very different and very reliant on movement rather than some of the more obvious graphic sort of buttons and stats and things like that. How do you convey that movement as an animator that makes it something that people notice and gives them the cues they're looking for?
As an animator, it's a lot of fun to emote without dialogue, I suppose. So visual language and body language is key, right? So, we're talking about identifying a friend or a foe from a distance and understanding or recognizing a race by its run gait or its walking gait, and things that it might be reflecting in its silhouette. So using animation to be that visual language, if it's in a passive state or an aggressive state, whether it's getting something ready to cast, something. I want to have a universal language that's recognizable across every realm, every character, every race, that you can understand what's happening in real time. So, yeah, like we don't have facial rigs right now with blinks and laughing, jaws and whatever it might be.
Yes.
So it's completely from the core, the root of the character, to emote. It's state, So if it's gonna, leap at you, it should look like it's gonna leap at
Yes.
you, right?
Well,
It
things that
shouldn't be
you'll
just
cue
static,
at.
at an idle pose or a combat pose, and just, in one frame lunge at you. I want to have those, states to show that it's ready and
Time to anticipate.
right.
Well, like when you have so many people on a battlefield, I think, being more obvious in your movements or something that catches your eye is going to be really more essential than it is in many games.
Mm.
Okay, so talking about that, what kind of special talents do you bring to that particular area?
I'm really lanky, and I can...
I am a mime.
Yeah.
I express myself. As we have so many different race thoughts in our minds, what kind of, character personalities can we expect to see, and, what would you imagine?
Well, I think, as the veil is, destroyed what we know as Earth, and things have amalgamated into other things, it's really a palette of, things that are familiar and things that maybe we've never seen before. So, I can incorporate a lot of animalistic features into things that, might be an insect, for instance, but I can throw in some, primal, beast animation into it, and it becomes a whole hybrid of something maybe we haven't seen before. I don't know. I would say sky's the limit with opportunities to explore. There's
other than the Lucarfan,
Mhm.
you pretty much have a lot of angry characters, a lot of stalking and angry kind of animations. Everyone's not happy about the veil being pierced.
Yeah.
So, will you have an entire range for each character as far as happy, sad, the whole entire gambit, or is it? Is their basic movement going to be geared toward, I guess, their personality as a race?
Yeah. So I think in this game it's going to be all PvP, and it's going to be very aggressive for the whole, for a lot of the gameplay. So right now I'm approaching everything with heavy feet and, determination, a little bit of sway, a little bit of, passive curves, but I think if I spend too much time playing around with all different phases of alertness, we might get lost. So prime objective right now is to make something believable in a state where, they're in the Badlands, they're in scary, situations and unpredictable situations. So I think they're always alert and ready for anything.
Okay. Directly contradicting what you just asked. Will there be fun animations like dancing, group dancing, things of that nature?
Sure. I mean, this is a video game, and it should be fun, and there should be, lighthearted moments where you get to either taunt or dance. I don't know if this is going to edit it out, but I would really love to see communal seances or dances that, bring forth veil storms.
Seances to resurrect dead players?
Yeah. I mean, so there's places for shenanigans, I would say.
Yes. Okay. Starting out here, kind of learning the ropes and coming from, as you say, a fixed camera position to where you are currently as an animator, it seems like a fairly long journey in a short time. But I hear tell that you are actually mentoring one of our artists and teaching them animation as well. Can you talk more about that?
Well, you're talking about Sandra, and she's got a degree in animation, but since she's come to City State, she's focused all of her efforts in concepting, concept art, and she helped a bit with March on Oz.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing new to her at all, but she hasn't animated since.
Okay.
So right now she's dusting out the cobwebs, and hopefully we'll have 2 animators working on this huge game, and then we'll outsource things, and we'll see where we need to be.
Expounding on the concept of, guess, finer movements in the game as we add things to the game over time. And we're working with basic essentials now, but at some point we'll see perhaps facial expressions after launch or
Sure.
things of that nature. How are you able to convey the information needed with these larger movements when you don't have the options to have, as you say, the eye blinks and the facial things and stuff like that? How do you convey a thought in actions?
Yeah, I mean, if a thought or an action is just happening in the face, it's not really a believable animation. If it doesn't read as a silhouette, all in, a black silhouette on white, background. If you can't understand what's happening, then it's not a very good animation. It's not being as exaggerated maybe to tell you those visual cues.
What are you using to research? I mean, are you doing research? What kind of things are you looking at?
I look at all video games and all MMOs and see what they're doing well and seeing what they're not doing as well. I'm talking, with all the hardcore gamers and how they expect responsiveness of the characters to be. So that gives me parameters to work in and animate. Because all in all, as an animator, it's fun to make things move the way I want it to, but I can't hinder gameplay, right? So I'll make I'll cut out the things that maybe I enjoy doing to arrive to a faster keyframe, to get, an action into play.
I see. But are you researching monkey movement?
If we get a monkey race, I will definitely do that.
Okay. So what are the challenges for you between the art aspect and the programming aspect?
I would say just communication between artists and programmers during critiques or just conveying, ideas might be a little different. So we agree on verbiage and try to use those words consistently so we know what we're talking about. But, we're all friends and we have patience for each other and we get the job done.
What excites you about the project?
To eventually play a game that, is just full of animations that I contributed to, whether, it was actually my hand in that or, I was just part of the discussion, just being part of a team that you get to see a final product. When you create something, it's great. It's a great accomplishment. And the best part is to sit back and just say, I made that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thousands of people across the world cosplaying in characters that are going to move just like you designed.
Yeah, that would be a great compliment to see that, actually. I have to work on something really wacky. And I'm like,
Just so everyone looks silly.
I'm your marionette.
Just fingers for all you. All right, well, thank you, Scott, and hopefully we'll get some more information as we go through the live stream this week.
No problem, thank you.